So on this YouTube exclusive edition of the RCWR show, yours truly, the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders, recaps the fallout from tonight's WWE Raw as it came to us from the O2 London Arena in London, England. It was a night where The Undertaker made his in-ring return to Raw. First time in almost 3 years. And Ryback, John Cena, had one heated confrontation, and it had a little bit to do with Mick Foley and the Shield thrown into the mix. Oh yeah, it's one of those episodes. It's the YouTube exclusive edition of the RCWR show, and it begins right now.
The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, interactive, covering the latest in wrestling and beyond. You're listening to the RCWR show with your host, Lee Sanders.
Welcoming you to this YouTube exclusive edition of the RCWR show. I am the one and only the Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders. Thank you all so much for checking out this episode tonight on April 22nd, 2013. What's up, boys and girls? I hope your weekend was pretty good. I hope you had got a good jump start to checking out some of that good NBA action. I know there's a little bit that is continuing on tonight, going into tomorrow, Wednesday, even on Friday. I don't know who I'm going with right now. Don't even ask me about it, okay? I'm not ready to pick just yet on who's going to be going into the NBA Finals. I need to see a little bit more. I've missed quite a lot. Let me just put it to you that way. But the little bit I've been seeing so far, I don't know, man. It's anybody's game right now. But hey, that's basketball. We're talking about wrestling tonight. Hey, as always, we love hearing from you guys. So if you end up liking this episode, do share those comments below to what you had thought about Raw. That is, if you saw it tonight, and we'll definitely share your reactions on our Tuesday night Wrestling Report edition of the RCWR show. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's jump right into it. Raw came to us tonight from the O2 London Arena in London, England, where the main attraction for the night was Mick Foley having a standoff with the one and only Ryback. Now, for those of you that are wondering, Ryback, Mick Foley, how exactly did this come about? Well, remember, there's already that history there between Ryback and Mick Foley. So for those of you that's kind of wondering, why the hell are these two guys squaring off? Just kind of pause and just think back to the history there. It goes kind of far back as Survivor Series. As remember, when Mick Foley was trying to put his team together, he had originally recruited Ryback, who was later pulled to take on CM Punk for the WWE title at that same pay-per-view. So these two, they definitely have a long history together. And the way that this basically had came about, boys and girls, was Josh Matthews had interviewed Ryback and Mick Foley. I believe Mick Foley was first. And Mick Foley had said that there is just some things that he's been seeing from Ryback within recent weeks that he doesn't like, and that no matter what, Ryback has 4 weeks until he meets John Cena for that WWE Championship. Then and only then, Ryback, he won't have anyone to be complaining to. Basically, he's not going to have anything to bitch about. That's going to be his time to prove himself right then and there. Now, Ryback would end up getting a little bit of a... Now, Ryback would end up hearing some of the things that Mick Foley had said later on in the night and issued a challenge for Foley to meet him in the middle of the ring later in the night. Mick Foley would catch wind of that and actually meet Ryback on that. John Cena tried to chime in his thoughts to the hardcore legend and not wanting him to meet Ryback face to face, warning him, of course, that he could be in some serious trouble. But Foley felt that, hey, it's not the first time that he's gotten into big trouble like this. Probably won't be the last. Might be the biggest mistake he's ever made, but in neither case, it's his decision. Cena's got to respect it. Cena does respect it, but tells him to see Ryback in the ring with a steel chair. And that is exactly what had happened in the closing moments of Raw. As Foley had that steel chair in hand, called out Ryback. And Ryback, folks, really showing a new demeanor officially this week, as some of us, including myself, kind of felt that maybe Ryback wasn't going heel. He was just making a stand against how basically John Cena is. How Cena just cares about nothing but himself and doesn't really care about his fellow man. On the contrary, we actually did see a heel Ryback. We actually did see a heel turn in Ryback tonight, and it wasn't any more evident than Ryback calling the WWE Universe stupid, taking shot at Mick Foley, calling him old, fat, decrepit. Only things that a heel wrestler would say. Damn sure not a babyface. And, it looked as if things were about to get really physical between Ryback and Mick Foley. But luckily, Super Cena had came out for the save to send Mick Foley out the ring and off to safety, as it looked as if John Cena and Ryback were about to get it on, when all of a sudden, folks, we heard the music of the Shield's Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. And John Cena, remembering what had went down last week, looked like he was going to be getting a little bit of retribution tonight, as he stepped outside of the ring and walked on up to the ramp as Shield members began to surround the ring, ready to get their beatings in on Ryback. But without them knowing it, John Cena would actually run back down to the ring, picking up the steel chair that Ryback had managed to swipe away from Mick Foley's hand right before Cena had came out to interrupt, and he attacked all three members of the Shield with that steel chair to send them running off to the crowd section, as Cena Ryback stood face to face yet again. And Ryback kind of wondering if Cena was going to use the steel chair. Cena ended up not using it, but still, you had that stalemate as both men just continued to look at one another, wondering who was going to attack who first. Ryback hesitating just a little bit too long as John Cena attacked him with the attitude adjustment to leave him laid out to end the episode of Monday Night Raw. Love this exchange that had went down between the Hardcore Legend, and I love the involvement of the Shield. Just all of that, just perfect ingredients that have just been doing a good job in pushing this rivalry right along, as it was revealed through a WWE.com exclusive earlier today that John Cena and Ryback will be meeting at Extreme Rules for the WWE Championship in just as little as 4 weeks to go. I definitely want to hear you guys' thoughts on this match at Extreme Rules. John Cena versus Ryback for the title. Do you think we could be seeing a new champion get crowned? I know some people may not want to believe it, but man, you just think about some of the things that Mick Foley had said to Ryback before John Cena came out, saying, look at you, Ryback, look at me. Physically, we are two men that are just completely different from one another. I got to the WWE Championship with heart and dedication. I never gave up, but you have the sheer physical stature to force your way to the WWE Championship. You have the ability to have the company in the palm of your hands for many years if you do it right. I mean, Mick Foley just really rubbing off Ryback, just kind of echoing the words that a lot of people have been saying about Ryback since he first crashed into the WWE last year. You just really can't help but wonder, could John Cena be losing the strap in his first title defense? You can't help but wonder that. Other action that we had saw on tonight's WWE Raw, Game, Set, Checkmate. That's what I like to call this, as Paul Heyman had called out Triple H. And, well, Paul Heyman, be careful what you wish for, buddy, because you just might get it. Paul Heyman taking shots at Triple H as he found out via text that Triple H was not going to be at Raw tonight and that he would not render his decision on facing Brock Lesnar, Part 3, at Extreme Rules in a old school steel cage match. Not until next week would Triple H render that decision. And Paul Heyman started taking shots at the game, calling him a coward and thinking that maybe this week he was going to be able to shake the cerebral assassin's hand and call him a good, honorable man, yada, yada, yada. What a bunch of hot fluff. Well, cue the music of the game, Triple H, because the King of Kings himself did make an appearance that shocked the hell out of Paul Heyman. But what was even more shocking was Triple H getting in the face of Paul Heyman and telling him to go back home to the States and tell his client, Brock Lesnar, that he will meet him, his client that is, at Extreme Rules for that match. And then, oh, how sweet it was. Triple H delivering the pedigree to just lay out Paul Heyman. Had him sleeping with the stars for the night. Nice little funny moment right there on Raw. You know, this Raw was one of the most well-produced episodes that I can recall of 2013. From the standpoint of there hardly wasn't that many people grabbing a microphone and killing 10, 15, 20 minutes. You know how it is sometimes on Raw. You just have people just trying to kill time. We didn't get that tonight. It was just pretty much, here's your match. Oh, let's look at the replay. And we're taking a commercial break, but coming up next is blah, 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 taking on blah, blah, blah. Maybe we got a recap of what had went down on last week's Raw or SmackDown, but it was pretty much just straight up matches. There was no silly ass tout videos this week. None of that crap. No, this is trending on Twitter or this person is saying this on Facebook. We didn't get any of that silly social media crap this week. Just straight up, boom, in your face wrestling. And that's really just how I love it. It made the 3 hours go by very quickly tonight. And just to give you guys a quick rundown on some of the matches that we had got on tonight's Raw. RTruth, he defeated Antonio Cesaro. I know there's probably a lot of Cesaro fans that's looking at that and they're probably saying, WTF, man, what the fuck is going on with Antonio Cesaro? Hey, I feel your pain. I've been tooting the horn of Cesaro for a good minute now. I'll jump out there and I will say, just to kind of capitalize on what I said last week, I'm kind of under the impression that maybe Cesaro is going through some of these things that he's going through because WWE is possibly trying to set him up to become a future Money in the Bank winner, maybe for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's what I'm kind of picturing right now. That's the only way these losses really make sense to me. And if you remember, I said it last week. I said WWE, they're probably trying to set him up for bigger and better things. And this week, I'm just led to believe that that's where they're kind of going with Antonio Cesaro, to try to create that illusion that anybody could possibly win the Money in the Bank briefcase. And honestly, when I think about candidates, especially on the side of the World Heavyweight Championship, Cesaro is definitely one of my final two guys that could win the briefcase for that contract. So just mark my words. Remember, you heard it here first, folks. But in the meantime, the win for RTruth, it absolutely does nothing for him. I said it once, I'll say it again. You guys know how critical I have been of RTruth. I don't particularly care for his Lil Jimmy Says gimmick anymore. It's well played out. I'm ready to see this guy get a new switch up in his character, quite honestly. He needs a new gimmick big time. It doesn't necessarily have to be heel. He just needs something totally different. I like to see him just lose the whole rapping gimmick altogether, quite honestly. It's quite silly, and it's quite frightening. And if you don't believe me on the frightening part, just go back to the last WrestleMania conference, and they had RTruth trying to get all the townspeople to dance and sing along with him. It was the most petrifying things that you will ever experience from a viewer standpoint, let me reassure you. Other action, we saw Damian Sandow defeat Brodus Clay, and then later on in the night, we saw Sweet Tea defeat Cody Rhodes. So notice right here, tons of funk, and Team Cody Rhodes, they've been trading off win-losses here. As, you know, I can't help but kind of say I've really been enjoying their exchanges between one another within recent weeks. Them and the Funkadelics taking on the Bella Twins, who were absent on Raw this week, by the way. But, hey, it was all good. But I've really been enjoying their little interactions with each other. It just sucks that it's not for the WWE Tag Titles, which brings me to our main event match of the night, boys and girls. It was The Undertaker teaming up with his younger brother Kane and Daniel Bryan Danielson, Team Hell No, as they took on the team of the Shields, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. It was the first Raw that Undertaker had did a match in just 3 years. Can you believe that, folks? It's already been 3 years since Undertaker has had a match on Raw, and this match damn sure was one of my favorite highlights of the night. 5-star quality type of match right here. You know, there's one other match that I can think of that I had enjoyed that involves the Shield, actually. But this one really took the cake, and it just really stood out in my mind because on the one hand, I was thinking to myself, man, could they possibly give the win to The Undertaker? But then I thought about it a little bit more, and I said to myself, well, you know what? As much as that would be kind of badass, it just doesn't make sense right now. Shield, they've got the momentum. They need to continue to get the momentum on their side. They're undefeated right now. They need this one. If you're going to have them lose, you have them lose at a pay-per-view. But not tonight, not in front of the London crowd. And sure enough, we saw the Shield members continue their undefeated streak as they defeated the team of Hell No and Undertaker. And notice it was actually Dean Ambrose that had pinned Daniel Bryan Danielson as Kane and Undertaker were outside of the ring. Way to make those two guys look still pretty damn strong. And now this puts the Shield into a possible number one contender spot for those tag titles. Now I know some folks have been wondering, when are those titles going to be taken away from Kane and Daniel Bryan? And hey, by the looks of things right now, if things continue to play out the way that they are playing out, I think we could be seeing new tag champions be crowned in the Shield members as early as Extreme Rules. I said it once before, I'll say it again. I would love to see the team of Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose become the tag champions. Roman Reigns, there's just something about him. I just don't want to see him with a tag belt for the first time. I want to see him with maybe the Intercontinental title or the U.S. title, Intercontinental title first. But I was very pleased with this. It just says to me that WWE, they have so much faith in the Shield. They have just really been taking their time with this and have been giving them more spotlight, more respect, better treatment than the Core, Nexus, Straight Edge Society combined. And that's no bullshit. If you disagree with me, you are more than welcome to leave your comments down below. We saw another great matchup of the night as Dolph Ziggler had defeated Chris Jericho. You know how it is when those two guys always hook up. We saw Biggie Langston play a serious role in this match and what thought was to be the end, as he did take a cheap shot at Jericho without the referee looking, as Jericho was trying to go for his trademark lion salt to pick up the victory. But that connection to the face, Biggie Langston just cold clocking Jericho in the face. Dolph Ziggler trying to capitalize, get the pin. Only a near fall as the match had continued. And later on, we would see Jericho apply the walls of Jericho. Looked like he was coming very close to making Ziggler tap out. But then cue the music of Fandango that just sent the London crowd into a frenzy. They were not, throughout the whole night, they were not as white hot as the crowd at the New Jersey Izod Center, but this was as best as you were going to get to that crowd. London did represent tonight. Then they really represented when it came to the Fandangoing, as Chris Jericho was wondering where the hell was Fandango. Well, Dolph Ziggler comes up from behind, hits him with that finisher, and that is it for Jericho, as he had picked up the victory. Now, later on in the night, folks, we would see Fandango in action, as he had took on Sir William Regal. Always a great moment when we get to see William Regal, who has not been making that many in-ring appearances on main WWE programming within recent years. But hey, leave it to Raw coming to us from London. 9 times out of 10, we will get William Regal. 44 years old, still knows how to throw it down. This was a pretty damn quick match, though. Unfortunately, it was a squash match, but it was a damn blink your eye type of match. It ended in about maybe 120 seconds. Fandango picking up the victory. But post-match, as Fandango was celebrating, he actually got attacked by Chris Jericho, who sent him flying off the stage ramp, and then adding more insult to injury by taking his dancer. Not the same little cute brunette girl that we've been seeing within recent weeks. I don't know what's going on with her. Maybe she's been sent a packing, or maybe she's doing some other stuff now. But in either case, Jericho had grabbed his new dancer of the night and was doing a little bit of fandangoing of his own. We saw Biggie Langston in action as he was in a squash match against Zack Ryder. Can't really read too much more into that, except I have just really been enjoying watching Biggie Langston just squash the hell out of the competition there. I keep wondering, when the hell is he and Ryback gonna collide? I think that would be a freaking dream match right there. Other than that, boys and girls, that was pretty much your respected episode of WWE Raw tonight. As I said it earlier in this episode, and I'll say it again, it was one of those fast-paced episodes. Barely any talking on the microphone, talking up a storm. It was just straight up in your face. Here's the matches. Have at it. No tout, no Twitter, no Facebook mumbo jumbo stuff, no WWE Raw active stuff, none of that, and enjoy it for what it's worth, because you know when Raw comes back to the States next week, it's going to be an entirely different story where they're going to give us all that good crap again. That's just going to make us go, ay, 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 ay. But I really had enjoyed Raw tonight. Scale of 1 to 10, I've got to give this episode a respected, I'm feeling pretty gracious. I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. I really thought it was that damn good. I knew I almost forgot something, boys and girls. Forgive me. We saw a new number one contender get crowned in AJ Lee, as she had won a Divas Battle Royal. So now she has a future destiny with the Divas champion, Caitlyn. No doubt that's probably going to be going down at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Hopefully it will be the YouTube pre-show. If not, yeah, that's all I got to say about that. But hey, we're definitely going to go more in depth about AJ Lee and her becoming the new number one contender. What does this mean for the Divas division if it now has that shot at being relevant again with possibly AJ Lee as the champion? And we're also going to go more in depth on this Tuesday night's RCWR show on a interview that The Rock did, where once and for all he revealed if he is in fact done with the WWE as of this year's WrestleMania. Remember, he had tore his tendon completely off his abdomen bones there at this past year's WrestleMania in his match against John Cena. You definitely want to make sure you join us. It's going to be a great in-depth talk about that. We've been kind of touch and go with The Rock, but this latest clip that we had came across that we want to play for you guys. It's got The Rock talking himself about the injury, about what went down at WrestleMania, and about his future. It's definitely an eye-opening experience. You want to make sure you join us for that. We'll give you guys the full 1-1. And we'll also go into the very latest in wrestling news headlines. So join myself, Diamond K, this Tuesday night for the RCWR show, 11 p.m. Eastern, blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR show. And in the meantime, for any episodes that you might have missed, be kind and rewind. Check out all of our episodes that we have on here on our channel right now. Great stuff. Enhanced audio for your listening pleasure. You can also check out our episodes in the iTunes, Zune marketplaces, also on Stitcher. Use the keywords the RCWR show. And for a little bit of news that you can use, like our page on Facebook at Infinity One Productions. Visit our website at infinityoneproductions.com, where we're always covering the latest in wrestling-related news and beyond. Be sure to leave those comments, and if this was your first time checking out our channel and you checked out this piece, do hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out, as we're always posting exclusives on this channel on a weekly basis. I'm the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. You all be safe and be kind to one another, folks. See you this Tuesday night at 11 p.m. Eastern for an all-new episode of the RCWR show, Wrestling Report Edition. Everybody, be safe, be kind to one another. Take care.